camp because we lived with a lot of men and women who were affiliated to the struggle. So there was a lot going on.
Zoleka Mandela went through more than one can think of. Growing up closely with a brother in Swaziland, she had a childhood that seemed normal from the outside look.
When I moved from living with my aunt in Swaziland, because my parents were also very young and involved with the struggle, I then was moved to exile where my grandmother was. And one of my fondest memories was she used to sell acha in yellow buckets to the community. And I used to sit in the kitchen and literally eat acha from the bucket.
Before she could utter a word, at the age of 4, she was sexually abused and began detaching from everyone.
When I look back and I think about, my experiences with that, it wasn't that I couldn't ask for help, and I think it was that I didn't know how to.
Having her first drink at a tender age, she thereafter started experimenting with other drugs.
I had my first drink at the age of 9. And the trauma of it all wasn't enough to stop me from drinking. And it was by the age of 13 now, I was already quite a heavy drinker, and I used to black out. By the age of 13, it wasn't now just the alcohol, it was now the drugs. And so I used to actually steal marijuana to smoke it. And then well into my teenage years, I then began experimenting with more drugs up until the age of about 20, when I then developed an addiction to cocaine for about 10 years of my life.
She fell pregnant at 17. When she was 22, she had a second child. On attempt to having a third child, her infant baby passed on 2 days after his birth.
Being addicted to alcohol for 17 years of my life and being addicted to cocaine for 10 years of my life, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of hurt and disappointment I obviously caused my family. And I think what hurts me the most is, not being a mother that my kids deserve.
Zoleka emotionally detached from her 2 children as she felt she was not a good mother to them. She attempted to commit suicide, with her children sleeping in the next room, by trying to set herself alight.
The 10 days before my daughter passed away, I had been using, and I tried to burn myself alive. Soon after that, fortunately at the time I was at my mother's house, and unfortunately my kids were in the next bedroom, and I was trying to do this, trying to take my life. And my daughter was, I remember coming in and out of my room, in her room where I was placed by my brother, and coming to tell me that she's coming to take care of me, because she knows I'm not okay, and that she was going to be my mother, because I needed help, and and home was no longer a safe place. And my mom then suggested that they go and stay with my aunt. For some reason, I never thought I would ever be living with the reality of the fact that I would never see her again.
Losing her firstborn daughter Zenani to a car accident, Zoleka was left empty and remorseful.
10 days whilst I was in hospital. In those 10 days, I missed her 13th birthday. And I remember she was quite upset when I called her, because I had missed her birthday. And I think I'd sent her a message that my mother read to her to say that I was really sorry that I was missing her 13th birthday, but that we were going to do whatever she wants to do when I come out. And then on the 10th day of my stay in hospital, my father and my aunt and my brother came in to tell me that she had been killed in a drunk driving accident. And
making things right, Zoleka now understands being a good parent to her children.
I think good parenting is a lot of things, and for me, one is being there for your kids. And I remember going into rehab 2 months after my daughter passed away. I checked myself into rehab, And I remember the one thing I battled so much with when I was there was my addiction counselor telling me, you weren't there for your children. And I was like, but I was. Like, I used to, you know, I would try and make it home in time for them to wake up, do the whole putting on the uniform, and when they, you know, do homework with my daughter, and then when she sleeps, and then I resume to, you know, abusing the drugs and the alcohol. And I was like, but I was there. But he was like, no, you may have been there physically, but you weren't there emotionally. I don't think it would have happened the way it happened had I been a sober and a clean mother.
In her darkest days, Dzoleka found comfort in her grandparents who always knew just what to say to make sense of the life that lacked hope and joy.
After Zanani passed away, my grandfather said to me that, you know, I remember he was like, you know, you're not the only person to have lost a child, you know, and, you know, he had lost a child as well. And he was like, I've lost a child, and there's so many women who've lost children, but the reason why it's happening to you is so that you can be an inspiration to other women. And so I think that kind of comforts me. It's unfortunate that you know, I've had to go through all that, but I don't feel sorry for myself, but I think I'm more comforted, and I'm just, you know, more blessed because I know that I've been able to, you know, help so many other people with my story.
We will be back on the other side of this quick ad break. Do not move.
The trial has begun in Seoul of the 15 crew members on board the South Korean ferry that sank in April. More than 300 people were killed, most of them were children. The captain, 68-year-old Lee Jun-sok, and 3 other senior crew members were charged with homicide and face a maximum sentence of death.
Primetime News, daily at 6 p.m. on SABC News. Zoom into Africa. This is Comoros. The president is Mr. Ikilulu Dwanine. Comoros got independent from France on 6 July in 1975. The population is over 700,000 people. One of the major languages spoken is French. Monetary unit is the Comoran franc.
Welcome back to the show with me, Bule Molebadzi. In her interview with us, Dzoleka speaks of finding the strength to fight in the most strange places. She spent most of her life wishing that she never had to face another day. But just when she was diagnosed with breast cancer, she fought to live. This time, it was not through drugs and alcohol, but her strength within to do the right things. She speaks about the pain that she has caused her family by releasing her memoir. Have a look.
Dzoleka Mandela discovered that she had breast cancer after the passing of an infant baby boy in the year 2013. With a life that seemed as though it was surrounded by never-ending tragedies, Dzoleka felt as though she was cursed. At the time, she did not know that early detection of cancer helps. She felt that it was a death sentence.
I remember being so scared because, you know, I had lost my aunt to breast cancer, my father's older sister, and to me I was like, okay, you know, like, how's that, the irony of it all. You know, I've been suicidal all throughout my teenage years, and now, you know, I don't want to die. Now I'm being told I'm going to die, because to me breast cancer was a death sentence.
She completed her chemo on the 24th of April 2013 and was given a clean bill of health by an oncologist, and a month later, she conceived her now 5-month-old daughter.
I was in the comfort of my family and my loved ones, so that made it all the more easier. The side effects were unbearable. It wasn't so much, yes, I was upset by the fact that I was losing my hair, but I think what upset me more, like we were speaking earlier, was, the loss of my breast, and then it was the chemotherapy may affect your fertility.
Her recent romance with Terry Bashala follows her tumultuous romance with the Siyavudilan actor Sekwati Tsubani, who was reportedly also a user. Zoleka describes her new relationship as a miracle and her fiancé as the man she needs in the new chapter of her life.
I am in a better place in my life, having him in my life. My aunt and my partner Terry have, I think, helped me try and find my way back to God. And so I'm always appreciative of that. Terry has taught me how to pray again. And I think he's also just taught me to believe again.
Surviving cancer and having a baby is one of the life-altering encounters the 33-year-old has overcome.
It's never too late to rewrite your life story, because it's not. Despite everything that I have gone through, or everything that I've put my kids through and my family, I've made healthier choices where I'm able to, change my life and change someone else's life for the better. And I would say what my grandparents have taught me, and that is, that it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from or what you've done, that you still have and always will have the power in you to make a difference in somebody else's life.
In her first memoir, titled When Hope Whispers, launched earlier this year, Zoleka candidly speaks of a tough childhood, having to encounter sexual abuse at an early age, her drug and alcohol abuse, and the sense of shame she lives with after having made to feel as though she had let her family down.
It was difficult in the sense that I'd had to look at the seriousness of what it is that I've put my kids through and my family.
She is now a proud mother of 2. She has now dedicated her life to her family and her humanitarian project to uplift women and youth in the hope that this will reduce the high rate of drug and alcohol abuse amongst youth.
This month, I celebrated my 4 years of being clean and sober. And what I'd wanted to do was to go into the schools in Soweto or wherever it may be, go into the schools and speak to the youth about the dangers of drug and alcohol abuse.
Now a founder of the Zoleka Mandela Foundation, there is nothing dragging down the optimistic Zoleka.
The Zenani Mandela campaign is obviously in honor of, my daughter who passed on tragically in a drunk driving accident, but really just a campaign to protect our children. I wasn't there to protect my child, and our children need protection.
Making her daughter proud, Zoleka says she is free from a fair share of struggle.
I do at times feel that I think wherever she is, that she would be proud of the changes I'm making. I know that that's how I celebrate her memory, is with the extensive road safety campaign work that I do. I know that I make her proud by taking care of myself, because, good parenting is taking care of yourself first, because how am I going to take care of my kids if I'm not taking care of myself? And I think she'll be very proud of the mother I am now.
The best possible way to move forward is to take ownership of your own life narrative. Zoleka Mandela has done just that. She continues to inspire women across the globe. When Hope Whispers is out in stores, get a copy and be inspired. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
What is wrong with African players? Why are they not winning?
Our officials, they don't look at the bigger picture of players being happy before they go to the pitch, because mind game is very important.
Seek ye first the goals and playing the tactical strategy on the field of play, and all other things shall be added unto you. Don't put money before.
African coaches, did they do well?
I think so far they are doing well.
I do not agree. Sometimes localist liquor is dangerous, because I'm telling you, he who cut the road does not know that his back is zigzag.
Ghana proved to be a damp squib.
You cannot go to war with chickens. You go to war with your best commanders.
What will it take for Africa to make it at international level?
Bring professional coaches from anywhere, whether from Mars, Moon, Jupiter, to come and coach and get us the results. That's what we want. You can't be a coach simply because you play football. And do you have to be a drunkard in order to own a bottle store? No.
Watch Question Time with me, Mpho Tsedu, Monday to Thursday at 5:30 p.m. on the SABC News Channel.
Welcome back to Bophelong, a place of hope with me, Bophelong. Now, in the first and the second segment of the show, we played you the insert of Zoleka Mandela, who has gone through a turmoil in her life, and she's now very passionate about educating young people about the dangers of drug and alcohol abuse. And to carry this discussion further, this afternoon I'm joined in studio by Metla Ramon Nakotla from Sanka. Mama, welcome to the show. What does Sanka stand for?
Sanka stands for South African National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence.
And what's the work that you do?
Okay, Sanka, what we are doing, we are doing prevention and treatment all over the country. We have 29 affiliates. So some of the affiliates, they do have inpatient treatment centers whereby detoxification takes place. And then some of them, they are non-medical community-based centers. So you find that people who have alcohol and drug problem, they go to our centers for treatment. And also what we do prevention and awareness. We do that in schools. And then we also do working together with the communities, doing community work. We have programs on prevention, like we have puppets for young children. Yes, for especially children in primary schools and also in kindergarten. And then we also do community awareness campaigns, and then we also do exhibitions, all the community things that we can have. Anything that we do it just for the community.
All right. So Mama, what I wanted to start off with, it's shocking how recently statistics are showing that alcohol and drugs are abused by young children, very young. I mean, and you can see from the ages of 9 years old.
Yes.
In Zoleka's case, 9-10 years old.
Yes.
What is it that draws kids as young as that to drugs and alcohol?
Alcohol and drugs, one thing for sure is that the environment where children are staying, you find that they live in an environment whereby there's accessibility of drugs and alcohol. The issue of parenting, sometimes you find that parents use drugs and alcohol in front of the children. And then you find also the issue of marketing of the products by the media. You find that some of the things, they are glorified as if it's a nice thing, especially alcohol. You find that they use these attractive people to do those adverts. And then all those things, they do attract. And also another thing, it's peer pressure that causes young people to also use alcohol and drugs.
Surely there are dangers that are attached to that. How does it affect a child as young as 10 years, 9 years old?
You know, a child of 10 years, it's not yet reached the puberty stage. And then whereby that child now becomes affected physically and emotionally. And you must remember that a brain of a human being develops fully in the early 20s. So you find that everything becomes distracted, everything becomes disturbed, and then that child cannot think straight, cannot even make good choices or good decisions. Even in their schoolwork, that child cannot even perform like any other normal school child. And then physically, the physical signs and symptoms are the same, which means that they will have those visible signs in the face or in the mouth or in the eyes or even in the skin, pigmentation, and even you find that internally, physically, you find that sometimes they are being affected, like you find that the child starts having bedwetting and all other physical symptoms that can affect them, yes.
Sure, that's really, really scary.
It is scary.
But then, Mama, when kids have alcohol to drugs, and I mean, they have access to drug and alcohol, who do we blame for that?
There's no one to blame. It's just that we have to work together as communities. The thing is that's why we have to always educate. They are not supposed to use substances in front of children. If we can educate our communities to make sure that we work together with different stakeholders to make sure that we educate our communities on the dangers of using substances, so that for that particular child can be protected. As we know that we have legislation that protects the child, so we need to make sure that there's no time for blaming. It's time for us to intervene to make sure that we assist this particular child who has a problem of using alcohol and drugs.
And you said even the parents may not even be aware that they are addicted to drugs and alcohol.
Yes.
When do you know that what are the signs that are visible to say, okay, you are addicted?
The thing is that if you see that you have a reason to use a particular drug, and then you find that always if there's a problem you run into that particular drug, then you know that you have a problem. You have a problem because you are running away. It's like you are having a stress, and then in order for the stress to go away, you need something just to calm you down. And then each time you have that particular stress, you go and use substances. So in that particular case, then you know that you have a problem. So in that sense, we're saying that people need to know immediately when they've reached whereby they cannot control their use of substances, whether it's alcohol and drugs, then they know that they have a problem. And then one needs to take into cognizance that drug addiction, it's a serious problem, but it can be, a person can recover from addiction.
Sure. Yes. And you know, when you have a child who's already addicted to drugs and alcohol and they're probably 10 years old and they still have to go to school, what's the process that happens in the rehabilitating of that child?
At the moment, we don't have any medical or say rehabilitation for children under the age of 10.
Wow.
Yes, in our centers. What we do only, it can be therapeutic treatment, which is counseling. And then that child, if they need medical treatment, they need to be referred to their pediatricians, because we don't have detoxification at this juncture for children under the age of 10. So what we need to give them support. And then another thing, we do have programs that are catering for children in primary schools, so that they can be aware of these substances. Like as I've mentioned, we have a puppet program. A puppet program is whereby we educate our children on being aware, on making we empower them on making good choices, and also we educate them on bullying and also substance abuse, so that they don't use those drugs in schools. And then in that fashion, and we are able to make sure that we accommodate young children in our programs, so that, because most of the drugs and we normally overlook young people, not thinking that a child of 10 can be an addict of alcohol, only to find that they've been using it since the age of 6 or since the age of 5, and no one has been noticing. That's why it's important important that a parent, you are your child's doctor. You need to identify those signs, anything, the behavior, because one thing for sure, we do provide those therapeutic sessions whereby it's a narrative theory, and then play therapy, and also making sure that the child is accommodated, but the parent themselves, they need to be involved.
Thank you so much for that information, Mama. And we've come to the end of our program. Please give the contact details of how people can reach out to you.
Okay, we have our national toll-free number, which is 0861 472 622.
Okay.
0861 472 722.
Thank you so much. We'll put it on our screen, and our viewers at home will be able to access the information. So
yes.
About that. Yes. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in to the show this week. Thank you so much once again. And remember, you can watch the program tomorrow.